Hello everyone. I am finally filming a story time on how I met the Jonas Brothers and my experience meeting the Jonas Brothers on their Happiness Begins tour. Let's just get right on into this video. This is Vlogmas Day 17. Okay, so to start out, I met the Jonas Brothers in Portland on October 13th, and I got my tickets I think in May. So I waited quite a long time, so by the time the time came I was super excited. I designed my own t-shirt to wear. I'll put a picture of it here. And I kind of use that almost as like a topic of conversation in the meet and greet, but let's start at the beginning. So I bought tickets. So I don't know if you're watching this video, you probably know the little issues that Host had with their website crashing and no one being able to get meet and greets the first day. So that was the day that I was free, because right around the time that tickets were going on sale, I had finals. So I was at home the day that tickets were supposed to go on sale for meet and greet, and I ended up not getting meet and greet that day because their site was broken, and they said that we're just going to try a new date. This time I had a final due that day. So fast forward a couple days, I go in to school that morning, and I can't remember if I turned in the final before or after doing that. I think it was after. So I was sitting in the Starbucks that we have on my campus, and I just had my laptop out, and I'm, on the Host site, I'm checking Twitter, I'm checking everything, and finally I was able to get 2 meet and greet tickets. So I got those, secured everything, made sure I got everything. That's great. Then about, I'd say August, September-ish, I got an email from Host saying that there was an issue with how much time the guys were having. I think this was more like September. I got an issue with how much, they had an issue with how much time the boys were having for some reason, so they were cutting out the the merch buying time without crowds that Lane 1 offers, and they're going to offer through meet and greet as well. So I didn't get the crowd free shopping, which I'm going to come back to that. So fast forward day of, I get there, I find the line. The signage, I don't know if it was just my venue, but the signage around the Moda Center absolutely sucks, so I couldn't really tell where we were supposed to meet. But finally, after asking people, I figured out where the line was, so me and my mom got in line. They were taking the meet and greet and backstage tour people in first, so we stood in line. I think I was like second in line for the actual meet and greet portion. So they took those people back, and then we waited in line. Check-in time was probably like 4:45, and I got there more like 4:15 because I wanted to be closer to the front. So I got there and I waited until 4:45, 4:50ish, and they started checking us in. And they checked us in, and then they made us stand in line kind of in the middle of like the corridor of the Moda Center. And we're just kind of waiting and waiting and waiting. And we probably waited in that line for another hour. And at that time is when the Lane 1 people came through, and the first on floor people. If you don't know what Lane 1 is, it's the people that help coordinate the pits to make sure that people get in early and get merch before they have to go sit in their spot at the pit to get like front of the barricade and stuff. So as we're standing in the line, just literally standing there waiting for them to take us back, the Lane 1 people come in, and I kind of looked to my mom, and she's like, well, why can't we go buy merch? And the Host VIP people said, you can't get out of line. So that kind of bugged me, because we had plenty of time to buy crowd-free merch, crowd-free, and by the time we got out of meet and greet, the lines for merch literally wrapped like halfway around the arena. So that wasn't very fun. But yeah, after standing in line for about an hour, they took us back, and we had to wait in another line for bag check-in. So we get up to it was like the second level of the Moda Center, and they explain, okay, we're going to give you a ticket, you're going to put your bag on this table, and we're going to line you up again and keep your ticket with you because that's how you get your bag back. I'm like, okay, because I figure, you can't have your bags with you in the meet and greet. No phones were allowed, no stuff like that, no presents were allowed in the meet and greet, but there was a spot where you could drop off presents for them, so that was nice. But the thing that I was a little bit weary of is that, you bring money for merch to the concert, since you have a bunch of cash with you, and it's not always safest to leave it because you never know what could happen. But everything was fine. The Host people were great and checking in our bags, and there weren't a lot of people that were allowed in that area at that time. So I guess it wasn't that dangerous, but there was still that little bit of concern. Even like my mom was like, why can't we just, well, why can't someone watch them a little bit? After we check in our bags, we have to wait in another line to where they take us into like another smaller hallway, and we wait for about another probably like 20 minutes. Then someone from Host VIP comes out and says, okay, I'm going to take all the lane 1 people in first because we got to get you guys through so you can get down to pit before they let general admission in. So we're like, okay, so then we wait. And I had VIP bar tickets, so I didn't get to go in first, but that's another little tangent I'll go on in a second. So after they take lane 1 pit people first, we wait probably another good half hour, and they start bringing us back slowly, and I'm getting more and more nervous and excited, and I'm like literally in tears because I'm like, this is finally happening, and I've waited September, October, I've waited like 5 months for this moment, and it's finally happening. So I get into there, and the Host VIP people are like, okay, do you want to take a group picture? Do you want to take 2 group pictures? Do you want to take 1 group picture and 1 together? Because that was just me and my mom, so they gave me the option to go in there first, take a picture, and then bring my mom in and take a picture with her. So I go in first, and I was greeted, so they were like, it was Kevin, Joe, and then Nick. So I said hi to Kevin first, and oh, the other thing I forgot to mention was they said, no hugs, no kissing, no, excessive touching, but they said you are allowed to ask them for a hug, but you have to ask them first. You can't just go in there and hug them. So Kevin, I say hi to Kevin, and he holds his hand out, and I ask him if I can have a hug. He says sure. So I give him a hug, and then Joe kind of followed through with a hug, and then I hugged Nick kind of gently. Out of the 3 of them, Kevin probably gave the best hugs, Joe probably hugged the longest, and Nick gave the least hug. So that's just kind of how it went. I feel like that's just their personalities. So I hug, and Joe had notices my shirt, and he says, hey, I like your shirt, did you make that? And I'm like, yeah, at that point, because it totally caught me off guard, because I was going to go into a whole tangent on how long I've been a fan, how much I appreciate this, blah, 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 how happy I am. All that was out the window as soon as Joe talked to me. So so Joe's like, hey, I like your shirt, and then I go, thanks, and he's like, you made yourself feel? I'm like, uh-huh. And then I kind of just took the picture at that point, and my mom came in. She says, I want to let you guys know how much I appreciate you guys and how much your music has helped her through so much. Literally, like, my whole life I've been a fan of them. So she was able to tell them that for me, because at that point I was like a little bit frozen. And then we took another picture with them, and I started walking out of the little curtained area for meet and greet, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot to tell them something. So I pop my head back in, and at this point they're almost greeting the next person, so they kind of just turned around and were like, whoa. But I was like, so I needed to tell them that something, so I told them to sing Pushing Me Away, which they didn't, but that's fine. Because like I was totally like, I was all frazzled and totally just popped in there after pretty much saying goodbye to them. So I get at a meet and greet, and we walk down the stairs, and after they hand you, your bag and stuff, and you get your bag back, and then we noticed the lines for the merch literally wrapped halfway around the arena. So moving on to getting in there. So I go into the arena. So my mom and I kind of tag teamed it. I stood in line for merch while she went and grabbed some food, because at this point it's like 6:30, almost 7 o'clock. We're starving. We hadn't had anything to eat since like lunch. So I stand in the merch line and I grab some merch. I'm wearing the hoodie I got. I also got the shot glass, which I'm kind of sad they changed for the second leg of the tour, because that would be really cool to get one of those too. We do that, and then we get down to the lane 1 bar area, and I was a little disappointed with how they did the lane 1 bar area, but I still had a lot of fun. I was still really close. I was just a little disappointed that only like 3 people got right up close to the stage, because I feel like they could have moved the bar back a little bit and people still would have had enough room to get closer to the stage and at the bar. So I'm just going to kind of put in some of my favorite pictures I got at the bar. I took most of my pictures while the boys were at the B stage because that's the closest they were. It's actually close enough to use portrait mode on my phone, which was really cool. If you're a photographer, it's like you have to be like, you know, 8 feet away, and it was really cool to be that close. Overall, the bar pit was a good experience. If you want the pit experience and you're over 21 without the, if you're over 21 and want the pit experience without the overwhelmingness of the general admission pit, go ahead and get bar pit. Especially if they do this again for another tour, because I see them doing that in the future. The bar pit seats are a little bit more spread out and people don't really crowd as much. The only thing you really have to deal with is the people that drink too much. Like, I got a drink spilled on my shoe and they were like brand new, but that's like my fault for wearing brand new shoes to a concert. So it was a little bit annoying, but I had a great time once I got in there. And it was a really fun show. The view of the main stage from the bar is pretty cool because you get like the whole stage, and you still have a pretty good opportunity depending on the venue to zoom in to the stage, and depending on your phone as well. But I had a really fun time overall with my experience with meeting them. I would do it again just because I feel like I'd be more comfortable with them the second time, and I feel like I would talk to them a little bit more than I did the first time because I literally just kind of froze up and could not say anything. And that's probably my biggest regret because, like, I don't know if it was just them, but they're like really intimidating. Like really, really intimidating. Nick's probably the most intimidating. It's kind of scary. So a couple people asked me some questions on Twitter. I just tweeted out asking if anyone had questions. Someone said, do they look really short in person? Yes and no. So I'm 5'9", and I know the boys are around 5'9". I'm gonna put in a picture right here about why they look short, and they don't look short in person to me. They're about my height, a little bit, maybe like a smidge taller. But in the picture, because I have really long legs and they have really short legs, so I look taller than them proportionally. So it was just really weird because it's like my hips and then their hips. It's like there was quite the difference proportion-wise there. Who was and looked the most huggable? Probably Kevin. He was wearing like a total like dad sweater and he was really nice. I forgot about this. I was actually able to tell Kevin that I appreciate him sharing his daughters with us because I know a lot of celebrities don't. And I kind of held my hand out to like motion that I was talking to him, and he like held out his hand, and I didn't realize that he actually wanted me to hold his hand until like after I had processed everything. It was like the next day, and I'm like, oh my god, I could have held Kevin's hand. But yeah, so that happened. I was able to tell Kevin what I wanted to tell him, and then I just kind of froze up. But yeah, I feel like out of all of them, like with like approachableness, I want to say it'd be Kevin, Joe, and then Nick. Kevin, I don't know, it's just something about it. I think Kevin's probably most appreciative of everything that's coming back. I guess that's like spilling tea, but yeah, it just feels like with the interaction I had, it feels like Kevin was the most appreciative of the moment, if that makes sense. So that is about everything I have to say. If I remember anything, I will film another clip today. But I think that's about it for now. And I will show kind of a close-up of my poster I hung up with some confetti. And in the VIP bags, you get like a clear VIP bag, you get the patches, the VIP limited edition patches, and you get the poster. And I feel like they're worth it. Again, like the poster, I do recommend keeping the poster on your back though, because the other one I had got crushed because I was like, my mom was holding it in the front of her, and it gets a little bumped around. But yeah, mine was on my back and it was totally fine. So that is about it I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want me to do any other story times on anything else, let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys in my next one. God bless and goodbye.